Hi everybody. So I have gone to the library a couple of times this week and I just wanted to do a quick rundown of the books I borrowed this week and also talk about some recent purchases I've made and one book I borrowed from my mother-in-law that I'm currently reading. The first book I wanted to talk about is Rules for Ghosting by Shelley J. Shore. This was on the adult fiction shelf at the library, and let's see. This is about Ezra, who is Ezra Freeman sees it might have been easier if her grandfather's ghost didn't give him scathing looks of disapproval as he went through a second HRT-induced puberty, and if he didn't have the pressure of all these relatives living and dead judging every choice he makes. It's no wonder that Ezra runs as far away from the family business as humanly possible. But when the floor of his dreams job opens up from under him and under his mother uses the family Passover Seder to tell everyone she's running off with the rabbi's wife, Ezra finds himself back in the thick of it. With his parents' marriage imploding and the Friedman family memorial chapel on the brink of financial ruin, Ezra agrees to step into his mother's shoes and help out, which means long days surrounded by ghosts that no one can see. And then his unfortunate crush on Jonathan, the handsome funeral home volunteer who just happens to live downstairs from Ezra's new apartment, and the appearance of ghosts of Jonathan's gone-too-soon husband Ben, who is breaking every spectral rule that Ezra knows. Because Ben can speak, he can move. As Ezra tries to keep his family together and his heart from getting broken, he realizes that there's more than one way to be haunted and more than one way to become a ghost. I'm really enjoying this book so far, and I am on page 177, chapter 16. The next book I'm reading is a reread that I'm reading for Women's History Month. It's called Jane Against the World, Roe v. Wade in a Fight for Reproductive Rights by Karen Blumenthal, and I am on page 157. The next book I'm reading is called Nobody's Magic by Destiny O. Birdsong. This is a new author to me. I have never read anything by this author. I picked this up in the YA section under the actually I don't remember. I don't think it's YA. I think it's adult, but it's under the Women's History Month shelf. So I am currently on page 65. The next book is a book I borrowed from my mother-in-law Sally. It's called The Black Wolf by Louise Penny. Several weeks ago, Chief Inspector Armand Gamache of the Sûreté de Quebec and his team uncovered and stopped a domestic terrorist attack in Montreal, arresting the person behind it, a man they call the Black Wolf. But their relief is short-lived in a sickening turn of events. Gamache has realized that the plot, as horrific as it was just the beginning, perhaps even a deliberate misdirection, one he fell into, something deeper and darker, more damaging than planned. Did he, in fact, arrest the Black Wolf, or are they still out there? Armand is appalled to think that his mistake has allowed their conspiracy to grow, to gather supporters, to spread lies, manufacture enemies, and feed hatred and division. Still recovering from wounds received in stopping the first attack, Armand is confined to the village of Three Pines, leading a covert investigation from there. He must be careful not to let the Black Wolf know he has recognized his mistake. In a quiet church basement, he and his senior agents, Bouvier and Lacoste, pore over what little evidence they have. 2 notebooks, a few mysterious numbers on a tattered map of Quebec, and a phrase repeated by the person they call the Grey Wolf, a warning. In a dry, parched land where there is no water, Gamache and his small town of supporters realizes that for the Black Wolf to have gotten this far, they must have powerful allies in law enforcement and industry, in organized crime, in the halls of government. From the apparent peace of his little village, Gamache finds himself playing a lethal game of cat and mouse with an invisible foe who is gathering forces and preparing to strike. I started this last week when we got back from Kennebunk, and I am on chapter 21, page 207. The next book I'm reading, I'm borrowing from Kathleen, and I am almost done with it. It's called Next Year in Havana by Chanel Clayton. This is the first book in the series with Our Last Days in Barcelona. These are historical fiction books that are set in Cuba during various points in history. I am on chapter 27, page 293, and I started this book on February 20th. The next book that I am reading is called And the Band Played On, Politics, People, and the AIDS Epidemic by Randy Schultz. This was recommended to me by Matt's cousin Teresa at Thanksgiving or Christmas. And currently I am on page 219, chapter 22. This is really interesting. Like, I remember learning about the AIDS epidemic in high school, specifically Ryan White, who was a kid who died of AIDS, but I never learned this much in-depth information about it. It's a lot to take in, and it is a pretty long book. I still have over 300 pages left in it, and it's very informative. I think I'm going to give it 5 stars, actually. The next book I'm reading is called Good Morning Dinah. I found this on an Instagram post about disability characters with books with disability representation. The main character in this book, Dinah, has autism and a seeing eye dog. I do not have a seeing eye dog. I have mentioned in previous videos that I have a disability that is similar to autism called nonverbal learning disability, but it is not the same thing as autism. And I can connect to this character because she has similar issues with social cues like I do. And I am on chapter 24, page 232. The next book I'm reading is Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe. This is a what do you call it? Paranormal romance book. It focuses on Holly and Hayden, who are two people who research paranormal conspiracy theories, and I am currently on chapter 9, page 103. The next book was recommended to me last year by Carrie Can Read. It is called 300,000 Kisses, Tales of Queer Love from the Ancient World, and this is basically LGBTQA+ romance story set in ancient Greece. And what's interesting is the same love story that is mentioned in the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller is in this book. So if you liked the Song of Achilles and want to learn more about similar LGBTQA romances in ancient Greece, you should pick this book up. I am currently on page 106. The next book I'm reading is called Anne of Avenue A. This is the third book in the Modern Reimagining series by Audrey Bellezza and Emily Harding, that is based on Jane Austen books. The first book in the series, Emma of 83rd Street, was a retelling of Emma. The second book, Elizabeth of East Hampton, is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. And this book, Anne of Avenue A, is a retelling of Persuasion. I am currently on chapter 13, page 159. The next book I am reading is the second book in the Heartstrings series by B.K. Borison, where she is retelling Nora Ephron rom-coms in a modern-day point of view. The first book in this series was based on Sleepless in Seattle, which I gave 3 stars to. And this book, And Now Back to You, which is focused on a romance between 2 weathermen named Jackson and Delilah, is inspired by When Harry Met Sally. And there is a scene in this book that is very similar to the scene in the diner where Harry and Sally are eating, and she kind of has an orgasm where she's eating her food, and the other lady in the diner says, "I'll have what she's having." And I love this book because, Jackson becomes the guardian to his teenage sisters who are kind of embarrassed by him because their friends at school are noticing how attractive he is, and they're really embarrassed by that. So I love the text conversations that Jackson is having with his sisters, who are named Adeline and Penelope, and also the radio show from First Time Caller is also mentioned in this book because Jackson is a guest on it. I love B.K. Borison's writing style. I love the Love Light Farm series, and I loved Good Spirits. Good Spirits is going to be a paranormal romance holiday series, and the second book in that series is going to be coming out in October. And the third book in this series is supposed to come out later this year, and it is based on You've Got Mail. So I am going to be finishing this book probably by Wednesday, and I will give it 4.5 stars because there's also good Alzheimer's representation in here because Delilah is caring for her grandfather who has Alzheimer's. So I really love this book. It's probably going to get 4.5 to 5 stars. And First Time Caller got 3 stars. And that's only because, in that book, I really liked the writing style. And I liked the example of co-parenting because the main female character, Lucy, and her husband are co-parenting their daughter, who is the one who calls into their radio station to try to find a boyfriend for her mom. And then I liked that book, but the reason why I gave it a 3 is because I'm not a big fan of the movie that it's based on, which is Sleepless in Seattle, and I saw When Harry Met Sally for the first time on Valentine's Day, and I really enjoyed that movie. I think And Now Back to You is a much better modern retelling of When Harry Met Sally than You Again by Kate Goldbeck. The couple in that book was unbearable to read from, and I had trouble believing in their romance, but their romance, Delilah and Jackson, in this book, their romance is much more believable. In this book, I am on chapter 25, page 275. The final book I'm currently reading is You with the Sad Eyes, which is Christina Applegate's memoir. For those of you not familiar with Christina Applegate, she got her start as Kelly Bundy on Married with Children, and then she later on went to act in Friends as Rachel's sister, Amy. Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy with Will Ferrell, which she talks about in this book. And then she was also on this show called Samantha Who, which I watched for a little while from 2005 to 2006. And then recently she was in a TV show called Dead to Me, which I have not seen yet. But I have been a fan of her for many years, and I recently just started watching Married with Children. Matt LeBlanc was also on Married with Children before he got the role of Joey. And with his character, Vinnie Barducci, you can really see how the framework for Joey was kind of put into place, because Vinnie Barducci is the son of a mobster who lives near the Bundys, and he is the boyfriend of Kelly. And when Matt and I watched the episode last year about Vinny and Kelly's relationship, we really found the chemistry between Matt LeBlanc and Christina Applegate to be really believable, and wish their relationship had been developed more. What I love about reading these memoirs about actors from my favorite TV shows and movies is because it gives you insight into like what goes on behind the scenes of making the movies and TV shows that you grew up watching, such as Married with Children, or in the case of Matthew Perry's memoir, Friends, or in the case of Selma Blair's memoir, Mean Baby, Dawson's Creek. Selma Blair was also in Legally Blonde as Vivian Kensington. She was also in Cruel Intentions, and she was also in Friends, in the episode where Chandler is in Tulsa for Christmas working. And I just saw that episode the other day, actually, and I was really happy that Chandler decided to go home to be with his friends instead of staying in Tulsa, because you could tell that he was not really happy. In this book, I am on chapter 8, Hawaii, and I should be finishing this book probably next week. Christina Applegate, like Selma Blair, has multiple sclerosis, and they are both advocates for the disease, and I haven't gotten to the chapter where she talks about her diagnosis yet, but I can't wait. Well, I already read Selma Blair's memoir twice, and I really liked learning about her diagnosis and what she does to inspire people to learn more about her disease. And the same thing, I occasionally read celebrity magazines. I don't read them all the time. In college, I went through a phase where I did. And I have been following her diagnosis for the past 5 years, I think. And along with that, I have also been following Bruce Willis's dementia diagnosis since 2022. And they are both inspiring in their own ways. I also read Bruce Willis's wife's memoir about caregiving for somebody with dementia back in December, and I really enjoyed that too. So this book is most likely going to get 5 stars, but I haven't really worked out what I'm going to rate it yet. So, what are you reading right now? Have you read any of these books? What do you think of them? I will be back next week or the week after with another reading progress video. And for April and May, here's the projected schedule. I will still be doing bi-weekly reading progress wrap-ups on this channel. The next time Matt and I are doing an entertainment wrap-up video is going to be April 25th. So the week that we make that video, I will not make a reading progress video, because I will make my reading progress video after I make the video with Matt. And then on May 1st, Kathleen and Matt and I are filming a retrospective documentary of our podcast for From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR, because we are ending the podcast a little bit earlier than expected because we need to start focusing on our job at Vertical Harvest that's going to be starting in the fall. And we will have less time to watch movies and TV shows during the summer because of traveling and doing stuff with our family. So basically, our next entertainment review video after April will not be out until the end of August. And my book review videos will probably be ending around the same time, or maybe a little bit earlier. I haven't really worked out my schedule for the spring quite yet as far as my videos go, but I think because I'm going to be taking an adult education class next month, I will probably have less time to make videos because I'll be busy with doing homework assignments for my class. So in March, for the rest of March, my next 2 videos will be out. Actually, wait. Since this video was supposed to come out next week, but it's early, my next reading progress video will be out on the 24th of March, after I get back from book shopping with my mother-in-law and volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club. And then my April reading progress videos will probably be out after Easter, because in the weeks leading up to Easter, I'm going to be busy with family stuff and other things. And then, as I was just saying before, we have 2 videos coming out on April 25th and May 1st for entertainment wrap-up and the podcast. So you guys have a lot of content to look forward to in the next couple of months. And thank you for tuning in. Have a great day.